right, everyone. Welcome back to the Wilkes-Barre Connect podcast. Today's episode, we're continuing looking at our Tech Accelerator program and Wilkes-Barre Connect partners, actually. And we're going to hear from the Penn State Launchbox. Today, we have Bill Andahazy and Kristin McCollum. Welcome to both of you.
Appreciate it, Dan. Thanks.
And so let's sort of start at ground zero. What is the Launchbox? And sort of walk us through some of the programs you offer and where the different campuses we can find you at.
Yeah, absolutely. The Launchbox is part of a Penn State initiative called Invent Penn State. So every Penn State campus throughout the Commonwealth has a Launchbox program associated with it. And basically, this is part of our land grant mission. This is our opportunity to provide education to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And the Launchbox is the entrepreneurship arm of that. So we provide startup support to anyone, students, staff, faculty, or just general members of the community who are interested in starting up a business. We provide the step-by-step support for that. So very bite-sized pieces to help you build a sustainable business.
All right. And can you talk a little bit, Bill, about how you got involved overall?
I came to Penn State about 7 years ago. I was asked to coach a high school entrepreneurship program through a state grant opportunity, and had an absolute blast teaching a dozen high school students to build a business and pitch it, and ended up coming on board with Penn State to manage the Hazleton Launchbox, is where we're coming from today.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then, Kristin, can you a little bit about your background and sort of how you got involved in sort of how you see the Launchbox functioning?
Yeah. So I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, I was running my own LLC out of the Hazleton Launchbox, a little bit of an entrepreneur as myself in organizational learning and development. And that's kind of how I met Bill. And, and a couple of years later, he hired me. So there must have been some kind of skill set that he thought was applicable. So here I am.
Very cool. And can you talk about sort of your role with the Launchbox?
So I do a lot of programming. Right now I'm teaching a Management 215 course, dual enrollment with some of the students here in Hazleton. And I will be doing the same thing in the fall semester as well. Do a lot of coaching and counseling, any entrepreneur that comes in. I'm learning a lot about the food and beverage business here in Hazleton and as well as Wilkes-Barre.
All right. Very, very cool. And so switching a little bit again into the Launchbox and what it does, can you talk about some of the supports that it has for entrepreneurs, especially in that initial idea phase and how it helps them move through? You said it's a lot of bite-sized pieces. What does that actually look like?
We are an organization. We love the whole lean startup theory, right? The fail fast, fail cheap mentality. We work with the business model canvas, those 9 building blocks of a sustainable business, and sit down and coach our client base to kind of walk through these steps, right? The 2 questions that we must have answered, and they have to have answers for: what's the problem you're trying to solve, and who's your customer? Those are 2 big answers. And during first meeting, these are all assumptions, but we're going to have you go out and test those, do a solid customer discovery process, but really understand and fine tune who that customer base is. It's really not what will they buy, but actually, will they buy? So
right.
That's the questions we try to get asked.
And what's that process of doing that discovery? I've talked to some of the folks that have come through the Tech Accelerator program, and that's one of the big things that they talk about is that customer discovery and getting actual responses from individuals. I don't think a lot of people realize the depth of what all you do, and that is something that's available here in Northeast Pennsylvania if you're looking to start. So could you speak a little more to that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we will work with our client base, and I'll say, get out of your house, get out of this office, go talk to people, go talk to people go talk to people you don't know. Don't go ask friends and family. They're all going to tell you have a great idea, right? And then so now you start spending money on this idea. that your mother said was fantastic. Well, of course they're going to say that. Uh, Go out, meet people, but what you're looking to do is you want to identify not only kind of what their likes are, but where are their pains.
Hmm.
And if you're doing this in person, you're seeing this facial change, right? And you're like, oh, I'm getting to something. I'm getting to something that they have a frustration that they cannot solve at this point.
Hmm.
And this starts giving you information. Um, when I send these people out, I want them to, and I tell them, don't prove yourself right. I want you to prove yourself wrong. I want you to be wrong as much as you can. I want you to fail in every assumption you've made, because what that does is help fine tune. That's what creates a sustainable business structure,
Right.
is knowing you're not going down the wrong path.
Right. It's almost like that the model of the survivor bias that we hear about from World War I, when the planes came back and they're looking at all the planes that returned and saying, let's protect these areas. And it's like, well, no, these are the planes that came back. We need to be looking at the areas that aren't being hit because those planes didn't survive. That's what failed. That's where we need to put that work and effort into.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's that initial phase. And so then you walk them through everything. Kristin, could you speak to sort of after they've gone through that customer development and what that looks, the customer surveys and what that looks like? What's that next step? Where are you walking them through next?
So after customer discovery, I would say my skill set is really with customer discovery. So
Hmm.
after that, I would kind of look at maybe pricing is another thing we look at. A lot of people just make assumptions. They don't know how to benchmark the data.
Hmm.
They may be in the negative. What's a break even analysis? That's something I would talk to them about as well.
Hmm.
But I kind of want to go back to that customer
Oh,
discovery because
mhm.
that's where I
Nope.
feel
Yep.
like I
Mhm.
thrive in my position because of, strong background in social science. I do a little bit of analysis. I put students through it just yesterday.
Mhm.
Can't
Oh,
tell if
very
they love
cool.
me or hate me for it. But talk about idea and opportunity. We don't want to talk about the trends that are out there, that just because you have these assumptions and you go into the market and it's like something you're passionate about doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work long term.
Right.
But like once we get through that, then yes, I would start looking at how would you price your product or service.
Hmm. And well, let's go back a little bit. You said about trends as well. I think that's one of the things we see often is that a lot of people want to start a business because something is hot right now. And they don't have that sustainable notion of, all right, well, when this wave ends, what comes next? And so can you speak to sort of how you walk them through that and maybe steering them towards something different or a broader idea?
Yeah, absolutely. We are always teaching. I mean, we're not telling them to avoid the trends, but we're telling them to follow the trends.
Hmm.
One of our big strengths down here in Southern Luzerne County, or at least in Luzerne County in general, is we're big on what we refer to as like the craft entrepreneurs, the lifestyle entrepreneurs, right?
Hmm.
So we're not trying to go chase the next space exploration company. We're doing taco trucks, man. We are, and we're loving every minute of it and celebrating it every day. And so, a big part of that is to really, again, we keep going back to the customer, but
Hmm.
understanding that customer, particularly in the food and beverage world, that's a crazy customer to deal with. But take a look at where are the trends in the food and beverage world. What's popular right now? I mean, 2026 protein, right? So follow the trends, but having them also get a good understanding of where my market is. Where's my serviceable market that's out
Hmm.
there?
Yeah.
And having them understand, can I expand this market a little bit? Can I go a little bit further out based on what I'm doing?
Hmm.
But having them understand what's my total market look like, but can I realistically get to? So those are some of the things that we try to keep them in check. Um, but also just make sure if something's starting to kind of go away, what's your next step?
Yeah.
If I can add on to that, market saturation as well is
Hmm.
another concern of mine when I speak to clients. When they come in the door and say, I want to do this, and I've seen 20 businesses do the same thing, I would say that's good. But what sets you apart,
Yeah.
from every other business here? Because I do want them to be successful and generate a revenue.
No, and I appreciate that. And I think that that's one of those things that I forget. I was talking with Larry from Wilkes-Barre at the Diamond City Partnership, and it was one of those things he likes to say is that he loves ribbon cuttings, but he also loves 5-year anniversaries because they figured out a way to
Right.
sort of stick around. And so that idea of there may have been a trend, but what are you doing next so that we can celebrate your anniversary as well?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it comes to mindset as well.
Hmm.
That growth versus fixed mindset. You have to learn how to pivot constantly.
Hmm.
Test your assumptions, and if it's just not working, then what are you going to do next?
Yeah.
It's that entrepreneurial mindset. If you are you going to give up, or are you going to just be strategic and try something else?
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And so, thinking about how we sort of set these businesses up and move them forward, I know one of the things that you offer is mentorship through the programs that you have. And so, can you talk about the importance that mentorship plays when starting a business and sort of moving through that process early on?
Oh, I'll take that. Yeah, sure. Entrepreneurship is lonely. I tried it myself. It's really frustrating. I've watched friends of mine have small businesses and who are entrepreneurs, and I've watched them pivot and grow and have really hard times. And I think having mentors with you that have either been through it or have watched other people go through it,
Hmm.
it makes a world of difference, right? Somebody that's going to encourage you
Yeah.
and not tear you down is really important, because you have to have that sense of community. And I think that's one of the things that entrepreneurs miss when they're working from home. They don't have different perspectives, and just coming to us could help that a little bit,
Yeah.
because we both have strong coaching and counseling backgrounds.
No, I
Yeah, and
appreciate
you
that.
absolutely find times where you feel like you failed at something, and it actually turns out to be one of the greatest golden nuggets of information to keep that business moving forward.
Yeah.
So it having that second set of eyes uh, on your data set uh, can change everything.
Yeah. How do you find mentors? And then also, what's the process look like of matching mentors up to these young entrepreneurs for success in the long run?
We ourselves have to get out of this office, right? So it's I love to get involved with some of the local like economic development organizations or chambers of commerce, just to go out and talk, kind of preach a little bit about what I do, but have an opportunity to meet the people that are in the room with you. And when you have a good conversation with them, a lot of times they say, "Hey, if you ever need me to take a look at something for you, uh, I'm getting your information. I'm getting your number, and you're going to hear from me, right?" So, I mean, going out and building that network, understanding sometimes how unique this geographic area can be for starting up businesses and things like that. It's great to have that pool of people behind you.
Mhm. And Kristen, do that?
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking, I'm constantly thinking about who has the skill set that I don't have, who can supplement any need that any client or student comes to me. Um, so, for example, just this morning, I sent an email to a graphic designer in North Central Pennsylvania, not in
Hmm.
our little territory, but just because I did a little bit of work in North Central and have been involved with Bucknell SBDC, I
Hmm.
know who I can reach out to and say, hey, we don't have this here. Could you possibly help with this client or student that I have? So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just networking and understanding where my strengths are and where my weaknesses are, and then just
Mhm.
supplementing those weaknesses with other people.
And
No, no.
lastly, backed up by Penn State University, we have a global wealth of research knowledge behind us that we can try to get some academic or kind of real world experience, that level of knowledge if we need to work with our clients or something like that.
Yeah. Something you've both sort of hit on and you've repeated is the idea of getting out and sort of talking to people, getting out of your house, sort of getting out. Why is that so important? Because I think, and as an entrepreneur who's sitting in my office, that I'll be here stuck all day because I got to get work done. Why is it so important to sort of get outside and walk around and talk? Like you're starting to run a business and you're so focused on all the details of things that need to get done and all these deadlines, but you keep saying get outside and talk to people. Why is that so important?
Get out of your head, right? Because you could be spinning ideas in your head and going down the wrong path. Listen to other perspectives. I would say that's the main reason I try to do it. I've seen it with my students as well. They're kind of stuck. Like they came from a class where they're doing some rote learning, and then they come into my session where I expect them to get up and move around, and I make them get up and do jumping jacks sometimes because it's just like you need to get out of your head. You need
Yeah.
to start intermingling and talking to each other and see what else is out there and bounce ideas off of each other.
Right. It's like painting a room. You know,
Mhm.
you finish the paint job, you look at it, you said it looks great. 2 minutes later, the wife walks in and says, "You missed a spot." Right. Having another set of eyes on this project often helps you overlook, or point out the things that you've been overlooking the whole time because you've been focused on this one project for so long that having somebody to kind of go right behind you and say, "Hey, have you taken a look at that?" And you're like, "How did I miss that?" Right? um, that's the benefits of having kind of an external network and a mentor and such.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And so thinking about some of the things that have come through the Launchbox at any of the locations, what are some examples of groundbreaking ideas that you guys have seen that you've been able to nurture and sort of follow through their development and see as successes in the area?
I would have to say, I mean, again, I mentioned this earlier that we've really become specialists on the lifestyle entrepreneurship side.
Hmm.
I'm loving the food and beverage ideas that are coming out of here. Some of the mobile units for launching.
Hmm.
We have the benefit of having a commercial kitchen here in Hazleton, a kitchen incubator.
Mm.
So we can encourage the food and beverage entrepreneurs to come in and have a Department of Agriculture certified kitchen to work out of. So I love some of the great concepts. I love, as you know, Hazleton is just so many cultures down here,
Yeah.
and having a lot of these businesses that are starting up to bring that world flavor down here. Let me tell you about walking out of the office at night. You can just smell the restaurants downtown. It is wonderful. So
Yeah, we're constantly learning and growing ourselves. And
Hmm.
if we go back to the food and beverage aspect of what we do, which is a lot of our clients, Bill and I make a point to go out there and see what's out there and try everything and
Yeah.
kind of see what the market is. And then so when somebody comes in the door with a new idea, we can kind of point them in the direction of saying, hey, well, it exists. Go research this and come back and tell us like what sets you apart from this
Yeah.
business and how are you going to learn and grow? Because that's what we want to see with our entrepreneurs that walk in the door.
Yeah.
we've had some really good ideas. People that have really found something in their during their career path that
Yeah.
they felt was a problem, right? Whether it was a piece of equipment. And of course, I probably can't have a podcast episode without using the letters AI, right? Um, uh, at least not in 2026. So we're starting to see some of these ideas come through, but AI and just the um, in areas you really would never considered it, but
Yeah.
we're starting to see that some of those ideas come to the door now as well.
Very cool. You mentioned the idea of walking out of the office and being able to smell the different restaurants and sort of knowing that you guys had a hand in that. Talk about sort of that economic impact of having this Launchbox incubator in town where people can come and test these ideas and go through this process and learn to fail and learn from those things. And then they get to leave the Launchbox and sort of go into the actual community and start these businesses. What's that impact like on a small community? Like Hazleton is a large area, but really it's a small, tight knit community. What's that impact like?
It is you're you have an opportunity for an economic revitalization down here,
Hmm.
and you have uh, a new population mix that's down here as well. So having the launch box now, we're this is the Hazleton launch box is 3 miles away from the Penn State Hazleton campus. We're downtown on Broad
Hmm.
Street, and that's by design. Um, we want to be in the middle of the action. We want to see um, vacant storefronts being taken over with with new shops. Doesn't have to be food and beverage, it could be anything, and any type of some new retail coming downtown.
Yeah.
Um, Trying to meet the needs of this population. Cars are a luxury in some towns, and so having shopping that is walkable,
Hmm.
restaurants that are walkable, that's important. And so when I start and walk up Wyoming Street or walk up Broad Street and I see these brand new, revitalized storefronts, it's fantastic. And it's fantastic to have had a part in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say community as well. Just it's a very, the economic impact, the demographics that we're working with down here, just they thrive on community. So if we can
Hmm.
build a better community for everybody,
Yeah.
that would be great. And I think that's one of our goals. Yeah.
And what does that outreach look like? Understanding that Hazleton is a community that language is sometimes a barrier, culture can be a barrier. What does that outreach look like so that you can cross those boundaries and sort of make sure that you are helping people and meeting them where they are?
Well, we have me, and I speak Spanish well enough to be dangerous. Sometimes I do well, sometimes I get myself in trouble. So, I'm always developing things in Spanish, which I can do or find someone that can do it for me quickly.
Hmm.
Um, so that is something that we do. I'm sorry, did I answer your question properly? What was the
Yeah, I think
question?
just the idea of what does that outreach look like? So you
Okay.
being able to speak Spanish, and then any other sort of outreach that exists where you're in the community and sort of making those connections so that you're building trust as well.
Yeah, it's just, I make it a point to let them know that I will speak Spanish with them if they need it. I know I don't
Hmm.
look at, they take one look at me, but as soon as I open my mouth and say something in Spanish,
Hmm.
the defense is lower and they feel more comfortable. I just
Yeah.
had someone stop me on the street the other day that I forgot meeting. And she's like, "Oh, how are you?" And I'm like, "Have we met?" And the entire conversation was in Spanish. So
Yeah.
just putting my face out there and people knowing who I am and that I can communicate with them helps.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Our outreach too really has to include all of our economic development partners that are out here, or even
Hmm.
our arts and cultural partners that are down here. So whether it's the Chamber of Commerce, whether it's the other economic development groups that are involved in revitalizations of either downtown or attracting new businesses to the area, um, even the Hazleton Arts League. We often overlook arts as entrepreneurs, um, but it's alive and well. And so that outreach really happens when you're really involved and collaborating with each of these organizations.
Hmm. And sort of leading off that, the idea of partnerships as well, not just that outreach. What other organizations are you sort of working with and partnering with that are helping entrepreneurs, not just in Hazleton, but at all the Launchbox sort of around the region? What do those partnerships look like, and who are those individuals?
We'll start with Hazleton.
Hmm.
So from Hazleton, the Greater Hazleton Chamber of Commerce can do the economic development group out there. As I
Hmm.
mentioned, the Arts League. We also have a handful of for a group. We have a group called City Impact down here
Hmm.
that we meet once a month at lunch just to get together and share with what we're doing.
Yeah.
But a lot of these are leaders of a lot of different, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's small businesses, things like that. But we get a
Hmm.
chance to kind of chat, what else can we be doing? How else can we appropriate named group make an impact on this city?
Yeah.
Right. And so there's groups like that are out there. But um, as part of, there have been some changes within the Penn State network, as we've
Hmm.
all heard. And so, unfortunately, we'll be losing our Wilkes-Barre campus in May 2027. However, we are not losing the Wilkes-Barre Launchbox. I am going to continue that operations past May of 27 and
Hmm.
look to
Very good.
be a Penn State presence in downtown Wilkes-Barre. We've also just recently kind of created a Northeast regional network. So Penn State Scranton is also going to be an opportunity for us. We will be actually closing the actual Launchbox location down in South Scranton, but moving everything out to the Dunmore campus. We just feel it's going to be a better opportunity there. So, working with Wilkes-Barre, obviously you've got the Wyoming Valley Chamber of Commerce out there. Um, you've got people like Larry at Diamond City. We all get together through this what we call the Connect Partners and get a
Hmm.
chance to meet quarterly, if you will, but share some ideas and what's going on as well. Scranton, the same thing. I just spent a long time with these, and since they're fairly new, the Scranton Chamber of Commerce out there, and talking to them and saying, how can we collaborate? They do a great food and beverage accelerator program now.
Mm.
Um, how can I become that front end, that cocktail napkin stage up to basic business structure and have them take the step further by partnering with the chamber and have them become the accelerator partners? That's what we want. We want
Yeah.
to become like a feeder for a lot of these other programs. Wilkes-Barre has their tech accelerator program, which we
Hmm.
launched last year. There are great next steps out there right now. We are so fortunate in this northeastern Pennsylvania area to have organizations that can take it, but then have the launch box say, "Hey, let me work with them. Let me polish them up for you and send them your way." But there's a what's great about this area, we have that next step available.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that. And I think that that's one of those things that a lot of people don't realize is that if you're looking to start a business in the region, that there are so many resources, but that you're also sort of not alone because you have Launchbox who's connected in almost each of the areas of the region to all those great organizations. But then in each of those areas, you've got the great organizations that are also doing that work as well. And so I think it's good for people to realize that not only are the resources there are people who are willing to, no pun intended, connect you to the right resources and sort of do some of that legwork for you as well. So, um,
Absolutely.
can, can you talk about some of those, any of those handoffs that have been sort of successful where someone's come to that launch box and got them to a certain point, they're all polished up, and then you said, okay, this is probably where you need to go next, and sort of literally launch them in that right trajectory?
Yeah. I have one person that I've been working with solid. Actually, we're still working together. It's been a couple of years now.
Hmm.
um, who basically this was that classic. I have an idea written down on a piece of paper. I don't know what to do next, right? So we spent a good chunk of time, structuring out the organization, doing the customer discovery. Um, she was always the perfect example, like I said, where she felt like she failed. She ended up with probably the greatest piece of entrepreneurship golden nuggets of information you could ever get. She thought she failed.
Hmm.
It was a virtual meeting. I stood up on Zoom with my hands stretched in the air, like, you did it. Like, this was the greatest thing ever. Um, but at that point, I was able to do a couple of things. We have
Hmm.
through Penn State's engineering program, they have a program called the Learning Factory, which
Hmm.
assigns senior engineering students a capstone project that can work with our clients and help them build prototypes and help them do the engineering drawings and designs and such. And then this person, after that, then went even on to the Wilkes-Barre Tech Accelerator last year. So it's a perfect example of how this person was able to utilize these resources that are
Hmm.
available to them out there.
No, that's amazing. And I like what you mentioned, that the idea that you've got students who are in school who are now paired up with entrepreneurs who have an idea on a napkin and who can sort of help bring it to life. So now you're not just helping the entrepreneur, but the student now has sort of a hand in a portfolio piece that if this does well, I was the student who helped work on this as well. And so now it's not just the entrepreneur in the business world, but you're bringing them up from the collegiate level as well. And so I think that's really important that people hear that and appreciate that as well.
Yeah, that's something I've been working on here in predominantly Hazleton, a little bit of Wilkes-Barre as well. We're engaging the students on campus and saying, here's what we're working on at the Launchbox, and encouraging them to get involved in any way, shape, or form. I'm like, I say to them, if you don't want to take on a full project, so for example, we're working on logo designs for some of our clients, at least show up and see what's happening, right? You're more than welcome to come to my meetings every Wednesday during Common Hour here in Hazleton and just see what we're talking about, to get an understanding of what entrepreneurship is about. So it's almost like you're getting kind of a free class with me. So why wouldn't you show up, kind of thing, right?
This is why I hired Kristin. She read my mind. I'm like, man, please talk about the consulting group. And she went right into it. So
it's my project. It's my baby. Yes.
No, I love it. That's awesome. So I don't want to keep you all too long. Is there anything that I've missed, anything that we didn't discuss about the Launchbox that folks should know? How do we get a hold of you if I've got the idea that it's on a napkin and I want to sort of do this process? What should we know?
I kind of want to go back to the culture and language barriers that we addressed briefly. I know that's always been a concern, and I every day that I'm out there, I've done a lot of contract work in manufacturing distribution. Some work down here. I've had my own LLC, so I can see the great divide between the cultures and languages. I just want to encourage people that we can communicate, right? I've had a lot of people say, what do you charge? Nothing for you to walk in the door and talk to us, right? The costs come from licensing and all the stuff you have to do on your own.
Right.
Just encourage you to come in the door, have a conversation with us. We're offering you a moment to come in and for free. You don't have to pay us a dime.
I think that's important as well, is that it's a free service. Like what you're paying is what you would have paid in the first place. Now you're just doing it with guidance, and so that you make sure that you're doing the right thing and not wasting your money or your time. So
exactly.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. If people want to reach out to us, so we're always happy to sit down and have a conversation about whether it's just a business idea, just flesh it out. I would encourage you to definitely to reach out to us. We are on the socials as well. I would say right now, get in touch with us down at Hazleton. We're going to be in the process of updating kind of a more regional flair with the Scranton and the Wilkes-Barre socials and their websites as well. But hazleton.launchbox.psu.edu is our website, and you can reach us that way. Or you can just walk on in. We're on 13 West Broad Street in Hazleton, and just pay your parking meter. A little word of advice.
They'll get you. Yes.
Yeah. And
it's Northeast Pennsylvania. They'll get you in all the cities.
We can sit down and talk to you and flush the idea out and keep it moving. No idea, or I like to talk to people. Every idea is crazy until it's not. Yeah. So come on in and talk to us about it.
I love it. Well, I want to thank you both so much. For our listeners, this has been Bill Andahazy and Kristin McCollum from the the Penn State Launchbox, which will be sort of branching out and being a little more regional. So we will make sure that the information for reaching out, the URL is in the description. It'll flash up on the screen as well. But thank you both for your time today. This has been a great conversation, and I hope that you get some folks that do visit and walk right down in.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.